Okay, welcome back to Business Owners Speak. Today's guest is Cody Bess. Cody, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Matt. Doing fantastic, actually.
Excellent. We appreciate you being on and taking the time. If you could, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
All right. So my business is Poprouser. Just to go back a little bit about me. My path here was a little awkward, right? It's not a straight career path. Like a lot of folks do. That wasn't the intent, by the way. I mean, I'll say I got my start or whatever in business in the Marines. When I was in the Marines, that's what I did when I got out of high school. Grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. Not much going on there for me. So, and I wasn't college bound. We grew up in poor neighborhoods, right? So, in about my third year of the Marines, I started to learn a lot of, leadership things that they're kind of aha moments. They're not like lessons that, you learn out of a book. One of them was we had to make do with what you have. You don't get to select your teams like I get to do now. You don't get to choose your mission, which I do now. And you basically just thrown to the wild with your wiles to achieve a goal uh, with limited resources and managing people's uh, deficiencies along the path, right? And out of that chaos, you have to architect a team that's highly competent in solving whatever said problem is. There's a lot more brain work in it than you would think with Marines. They call us jarheads, you know,
Right.
but there's a lot more brain work in it than you'd expect, and that kind of solidified my pathway to leadership of some kind. Yeah, I got out. I grew up in Jacksonville, so I'm already a Florida resident. Went to FIU, right down the street from you guys, right?
Yep.
And as a university in 2008, when I went, it gave me a lot of opportunities to create. I created an organization to send, minority students to Wall Street. I created as much as I can while I was there. And, I graduated with a finance degree and economics degree when I left. I had a distinct opportunity to go work for Google. And it corrupts you. I'll just say this, working for one of those big Silicon Valley tech companies, it corrupts you in a way where, first of all, I got exposed to the version 0 of the business I have now, which is Poprouser. The pop in Poprouser comes from people operations, which was pioneered at Google. It's a way of re-envisioning human resources in a way that kind of makes, it makes sense from the perspective of the rest of the business, right? Looking at it as kind of like a spider looking in and pulling out and extracting value from every other part of the organization um, versus an HR department. And after graduating and having my experience at Google, uh, I went into IT implementation, implementing large scale ERP technologies on the Microsoft base to a lot of big, Fortune 500 or S&P 500 type companies, and even some global enterprises that you may not know about, right? And I did that for a good amount of time up until 2018, doing management consultant on the side during the whole thing with a partnership I have with my current business partner now. Uh, and then I guess I'll say disaster struck in 2017, where basically I was rendered unable to walk and I had to leave my traveling consulting career behind.
Wow.
And the ideas that we've put together to start Poprouser as a business that kind of took off a little bit in 2016, I kind of was fast tracked into doing it as a full-time job. And we built the business of Poprouser very quickly just because my injury and recovery happened at the same time as my business partner left his career in finance management at General Electric, right? So we built this company, and that's where we are now. So me right now, I'm down status founder, 4 years and strong at Popbrowser, and that's my background
Mm.
at a glance, and that's my awkward journey, zigzagging to this company. a lot of people ask me when they hear this, like, where do you get your HR experience in the middle of all that? I built an expertise up uh, with communicating with managing HR type issues. Whenever an implementation would fail and we'd be brought in as the fixers, it was usually some people related problem that you could only get the solution for by creating HR solutions. And I would usually impose myself upon it and help create solutions for it. And in my management consulting work on the side, that's exactly what I started to do, right?
Hmm.
And since then, I'm HR professional now, certified, double certified in society human resources and HRCI to the certification agencies or certification bodies, right? So I know my stuff. My team knows their stuff, and I'm the bar to set, and they do better than me, right?
Right.
So long intro, but
No, that's great. Thank you. That the journey and how you arrived is always a very fascinating part of this. And thank you for your service. And it's amazing. You can either pick things up as you go or try to put them behind you and never use them again. But the people that pick things up and implement them later on are usually the most successful. So tell us what Poprouser does and what they do a little bit differently than the competition and who your regular client base is.
Perfect. Okay, so just to kick it off, our tagline is, at least it is right now, we turn HR into your unfair competitive advantage, right? So that gives you an idea about what we are a little bit, yeah. So we come in or people contact us at times of, I don't want to say crisis, but there is some sort of incident that occurred. Either help, our HR person or clerk or whoever they have left our company and took with them a knowledge base. Recently, you vacated a position. We are overwhelmed, and even though we have people, it may not be the best organized. We may be blowing opportunities to make money. We may be wasting money. We may not just be afraid that we don't know what we don't know. We may have certain risks that we need to mitigate or take advantage or take control over. So we come in as an outsourced, you can think of a business process outsourcing type of company. We process that entire HR and people function as your team that would handle that stuff. Like think of an HR department, except you're bringing a company in who already has that knowledge base built, cultivated out, systems ready to go, the whole shebang. That's us. So our service breakdown is pretty simple too. We break it down into 6 key service areas. HR administration, which that communicates well with people. They know, oh, paperwork, you do that. I like to say we don't just do paperwork. We continuously optimize and automate. So we're not left just doing brain dumb stuff, just typing away at a keyboard. You don't need to hire people to do that. You can hire people to start it, kick it off, manage it, optimize it, and automate when the opportunity arises, right? And then you need program managers on an ongoing basis. That's us. We also have a homegrown talent acquisition and talent attraction service, which is basically recruiting. We're not recruiters or recruiting agency, meaning the sourcers that it would pay a certain percentage off the top of each head you hire. That's not generally our bread and butter when we talk about recruiting here. We are the internal recruitment team that basically manage that whole funnel, that whole talent flywheel, I like to call it, from start to finish, from the sourcing piece of it all the way down to the onboarding of the new hires and making them as productive to the team as early as possible with all the metrics and measurements that come with that.
Mm-hmm.
We also manage and maintain and optimize HR compliance. So there's, even just in Florida State, which is one of the least regulated states in terms of HR compliance, it's getting more difficult to manage in every state as the years go on, with more reporting requirements, especially if you're 50 employees and over. It just doesn't, it's hard to keep track of all the changes that are happening with each new administration, state and federal. So we handle that, basically offboard it. So you no longer have to worry about that risk piece. And our other services are HR strategy and people analytics. And I'll tell you about that. Basically, they're kind of hand in hand because the data informs the decision making, and we walk in as basically fractional executive on that team to kind of lead the entire operation of HR and people ops and sit in basically in that position of an HR director and help you and make decisions when empowered to do so, and kind of guide the organization in the right direction, and sometimes even reorganize this and restructure the organization overall with the executive team. And our final service that I'll talk about here is just HR tech. So remember what I was telling you about how I come from this background of implementing large-scale technologies, HR techs primarily, and ERPs as well. Well, we do that. Our team does that. We're professionals at it. So generally, I like to say, oh, we're about to implement this software. What can you folks do? Is a question we usually get. Soup to nuts. We'll evaluate which one works best for you at your size and your scalability. We implement it for you, working with the teams of the other tech companies. We are tech agnostic, meaning we don't just walk in with like, Prism or one of these technologies. We have partners. We have a lot of technology partners that we consider best in class. We don't partner with second in class. We partner with best in class. So at any size of company, you're getting the best at the best prices. And sometimes we can even offer them discounts, and we implement and manage that. That's what we do. That's Poprouser in a nutshell, right? HR tech, HR strategy, people analytics, HR compliance, recruitment, and the administration piece of HR, right?
There's a thorough suite of options, and just so I'm clear, because it's a popular question in your space, and I want to make sure in case I missed it. Do you guys take on the employees? Do they become employees of you, an entity of yours, or do they stay with the other entity?
That's a great question. We answered that about halfway through our website with kind of like a here's what we are and here's what we aren't.
Right.
Here's what we aren't. We aren't PEOs. A PEO is a professional employer organization. They basically do what you just said, right, is they take ownership of an organization's employee base on paper so that they can do certain things. What we do is we basically act as an agent of you. You still own your employees on paper. We act as your agent, and basically we get certain permissions that a third-party agent would in order to administer all this, right? Okay. It's the same concept as, let's say, you have a marketing agency, and a marketing agency gets certain permissions into your systems, permissions of positions of trust, obviously, but in order to provide you with the value that you need from, let's say, a marketing department. It's the same thing, same concept, except we extend that to the human resource function. Okay. So no, we are not a PEO.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense.
We love our PEO partners and friends, but we are not them.
I don't blame you. How about size, Cody? What's kind of like your niche in terms of size of business that you prefer to partner with?
That's a great question too. 0 to 50 and then 51 to 250. That is most of what we look for in companies. Why? Because if they're bigger than 250, generally they already have a fully fleshed out staff. Again, we can come in and support them to help resource them and provide project management. So we can come in as projects. But generally, we're subscription based because we bring an entire team and can actually outsource the function. So that's actually one of our differentiators. Okay. We would, in terms of our size and industries, we're industry agnostic, but we do have industries that we've cultivated a deep level of expertise in, just by nature of the people we have on our team, and by the nature of the industries we've served in the locations that we're actually dominating in. Let's talk South Florida for a second, right? So let's talk those industries: healthcare, luxury construction, which is very niche, but we've actually gotten really good at doing work for them. There's one thing I neglected to say, and it was about employee relations. So employee relations, yes, we act as their agent, and we talk to their employees and solve employee problems if that's a service that the client wants. Okay. That's part of the HR administration piece, right? That also informs who we bring on as kind of like our target market. Usually people who are our targets, they have more people, let's say not 0, I'll say that. And that's who we target, we go after. Sometimes folks come to us and we call those soft landing startups, right? Soft landing startups, we've, internally in Poprouser have defined those to be companies that either have a successful company abroad in another country and are launching a US-based operations, or they already tested their concept elsewhere and made money off of it, and now they're launching again, launching another office, launching, like I said, in the United States, or launching in a different state that they don't know anything about. Then they bring us in, and we can serve those soft landing startups who usually have 0 to 5 employees. Again, we have a Poprouser Lite version of our services for them, but again, that's not primarily who we, target for our services. Like I said, 0 to 50, or rather 5 to 50, and then 51 to 250 for some of the bigger organizations that we can actually provide our full suite of services for.
It's interesting, and something I was going to ask, because of the range of size, right? Sometimes the needs are different. If I have 6 employees versus 106 or 206, do you have a la carte services, or is that light version just kind of a different package?
Yeah, we do a la carte, and that's one of the reasons why we broke our services down like the way that we did. Some folks will only say, help, 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 I need to hire, and I need to hire now. And the way that we do it in the systems and processes we don't have confidence in. So they just want, for a predetermined amount of time, that'd be 3 months, 6 months, whatever. And then we sign contracts with them for that, right? So they know what they're going to get. They're going to get that recruitment service, and they're going to get it for a predetermined amount of time that they think it's going to take to fill out that staff.
Okay.
So yes, we do offer a la carte. And one thing we do, since we figured out our pricing pretty well, that's why we're able to offer a flat subscription rate monthly, because we know our costs, we know our per unit, expenses, and what we can expect for each service set. That allows us to line by line go through when we have special requests come in through our proposals, right? For client quotes. They say they don't want this, they do want that. Line by line, we can cut those things out and customize the service set to them and make it more cost effective for them. Right.
Okay.
So the answer is absolutely yes.
Right. You can customize based on the needs of the client, which, is an important piece, because sometimes those larger companies, it's just kind of like a boom, here you go. You must be using all of these things in order to work with us. And for small business owners, that's not always feasible.
Right. And they don't always deliver as they, contractually obligated to. The time to response is usually very long. We have a team focused on you, and it's pretty immediate. We have SLAs, service level agreements, something I picked up from my IT work, which is basically where you have a predetermined amount of time that you have contractually to respond to issues that come across your desk, right? Either virtually or otherwise. And we work virtually and otherwise. We're digitally born, right?
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your team. It takes a lot of different skill sets to manage, especially the soup to nuts piece of what you do, and some specific education, because a lot of HR is designed, especially these days, to help keep business owners out of trouble, right? So I'm curious about your team and how you go about finding them, and what kind of the culture of the work environment is.
Yes. So this is actually my favorite topic when discussing Poprouser. The team makes Poprouser. So Pop is people operations. Rousing is what the staff does. It's what our team does when we are brought into these entities, these clients, these organizations. Basically, wake up the sleeping giant, right? The revenue possibilities and the creative possibilities of an organization that can be awakened with our services. So our team is, first of all, like I said, we're born digital remote. That allows us to hire people from other countries, right? So we have a global team. My co-founder, actually, who started out working in Miami up until about 3 weeks ago, he recently relocated temporarily to Thailand, right? Just to see if this is a part of our model that can work, right? Just a test. It's like, okay, let's test to see if having a founders on 2 different sides of the world can actually work for an organization like us. So far, so good. Now, meetings are difficult to schedule. Somebody's going to be red-eyeing that meeting. Right. But we're finding out more creative ways to do work by throwing things into our path, right? makes us much more effective than the average. Our team's doing that. Our team is first and foremost cross-functional, meaning it's not just a bunch of HR people with the same education. Everybody has a certain baseline understanding and level of education of human resource management on our team. And then you have people who are great at marketing, who handle the talent attraction and employer branding pieces of our client work, right? That typical HR person may not be equipped to skill-wise. We have a huge component on our team that is financially savvy, right? Me being one of them, with a finance degree and all that. We have a labor and employment attorney on staff who oversees all contract writing, reviews all legal and policy documents and frameworks that we implement with our clients, and also basically just checks our boxes and makes sure that we are doing things legally the way we should, and that we're providing advisory to clients. Again, we're not their lawyers, but providing sound advisory that fits in with what you'd expect a legal professional to provide, or somebody who is knowledgeable in state and federal regulations to provide. That's part of the compliance services, right? When we're talking about, making sure things are dotted legally. And we have a component of our team, which are HR virtual assistants. You have virtual assistants. We have HR virtual assistants who handle a lot of the day-to-day of the HR administration piece. That frees up some of our more senior levels of our team to focus more on strategic work, brain work, problems that are very unique to the organization or industry that need to be solved by somebody who has blocks of time freed up to do that. Our team works in predetermined blocks of their choosing, right?
Okay.
We're able to retain people much longer. Two of our most senior folks are actually been with us from day one, since client number one, and we've just expanded from there. Rarely do people leave our organization, and usually we give them the blessing. We're like, hey, you have reached your peak with our organization. I want you to go somewhere else and go have a peak there. Go peak again there for 2-3 years and develop some more skills. And then we kind of convert them to cheerleaders, right? And we still reshare, share, and talk, and our social media and everything, and basically just people who want to see each other win.
Yeah,
we have
great.
That fellowship with our team, people who want to see each other win. That's how we work. It's a very positive environment. I can send you screenshots or whatever just to kind of like give you snapshots of our culture from our Slack groups.
That's great.
But that's how we work.
Yeah.
You work how you feel like you are most productive. We have to ensure coverage throughout the major blocks of the workday, East Coast, West Coast, and Central time. But outside of that, work when you feel comfortable and when you can best get the work done.
Interesting. I love that concept. All right, Cody. So to finish, and it's been an amazing recap of your business. I think everyone watching will have a very clear view of what you do. But what's the future look like for Poprouser? What are you hoping for in the coming years?
Poprouser, one of the big pieces of the Poprouser vision is we want a vision of the American workforce that is your mind is free from having to worry about where the next meal's coming from, where upskilling is not something that you do at the last minute, where we infiltrate the employers of America to as many as possible to have people operations as basically the baseline standards for operational effectiveness, where we don't have labor market issues created by clear and obvious divisions between employers and employee expectations. Freed up to innovate, freed up to enjoy your life, freed up to solve bigger problems in humanity. We are all just working from one paycheck to the next, and we don't really care about going to space. We don't really care about creating the future's food supply. We don't really care about solving generational, intergenerational problems like diseases and pandemics and climate change. We're not thinking about these things. We're thinking about, oh no, is AI going to take my job tomorrow? Oh no, is my boss planning on replacing me or secretly hiring and all these other LinkedIn buzzwords that you hear, quiet quitting, quiet this, quiet that. No, it's very loud. It's very loud. Nothing's quiet right now. Uh, Poprouser's vision is 50 states, infiltrating 50 states and employers across industries in 50 states. 3 years, I want to be in 50 states by 3 years. Right now, we're in 7. It's a long way to go, but we're going to get there, right?
That's amazing. And what you touched on there is something that we work with business owners a lot, and it's about abundance, right? And so instead of just being right in front of you and what's this day require and what's this day require, let's think bigger, think globally. And for you, it sounds like with some philanthropy mixed in. So that always helps build the culture of a business, no doubt.
Yes. I mean, you said philanthropy. I didn't say it, but I, kind of hinted at it. But it's a little bit more than that too, because philanthropy is what wealthy people do. It's all right. What can I do beyond the capabilities that were limiting me because I was worried about income? I think that if companies were more effective at their HR budget and budgets across the company and effective at staying ahead of trends that hit them in the face because they don't have future focused, well-resourced people teams and management and competent, able management and trained managers and trained staff, I think that we will have more time. This is all about recovering time for ourselves and our families. To me, that's what it's for, because that's at the end of the day, when people stop and they think, what am I deficient in? Okay, calcium, vitamin C. No. It's time. It's time. We can't get it back. It's finite. We can't put a financial value on it. When we try, people leave the company, right? And what can we do then? And what are the right questions to ask and things to take action on, prioritized? People don't have the answer to that.
Our most valuable resource. That's no doubt. That's great.
I'm here to recover time.
Yeah. As we close here today, what's one thing you want people to know about Poprouser?
That Poprouser is open for business and wants to help you. We want to help you save money first and foremost, because that's the most present thing. We want to take the feeling of being overwhelmed off of your shoulders. And we want you to know that you have someone in your corner who's going to bat for you and your employees no matter what. And that if you look at the price, we come competitive with anything else you'll find, PEOs included, hiring an external HR consultant on their own included, hiring a large entity for sure. And you get white glove treatment.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well said. Well, Cody Bess, thank you so much for your time today. Again, the company is Poprouser. I'm sure you're going to be hearing a lot about it just based on the passion coming out of Cody. Cody, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Matt. It was awesome.